Daughter tells me either give up the mansion you worked hard for or you'll never see your grandbabies again. Guys, today I have one story for you, but that's because it's an epic ride. I can't wait to present it. My name's Mr. Ruttato. Subscribe to the channel if you like this sort of thing, and let's get right into it. Bye kids, have fun. I called as I shut the door. We had just spent an exciting and lovely day together. The kids were my grandkids. Their mother, Jane, was my daughter and only child. My husband, Keith, and I have been happily retired for a few years now, and nothing lights up our day as much as the grandkids. We were both first-generation Americans, having immigrated to the United States in the 80s. We've been dirt poor, but had wanted to build something better for ourselves, to achieve the American dream, so to speak. We had met soon after, as we have belonged to the same community. We had both been in our first year of college at the time, and had fallen in love at first sight. So much, in fact, that we got married together soon thereafter, and had then proceeded to have our first and only child, a daughter at 25 years of age. Both of us had come from large families, but we understood that we would be able to support a large family in our current financial situation, and opted not to have other children. It was the best thing we could have done, and as a result, we devoted all our lives and energy to raising our daughter, who we named Jane. As a result of our excellent college educations, we were able to make the leap from lower class to middle class in the financial bracket, and for a long time that's where we stayed. We made sure that Jane had the best that we could give her, while still living with our means, and we were careful to put money away for college every few months. It was when she went away to college, when we were in our early 40s, that my husband and I decided to open up a business on our own. We partnered with a couple of good investors and built a furniture company from the ground up. This was just after the 2008 recession. Unlike most businesses, ours boomed, and we quickly landed on the Fortune 500 list within 5 years. With the money from the company, we were able to invest in real estate, which bought us a nice profit. In short, during the years, Jane lived far from us. We became millionaires. We had set Jane up with a nice young man of her age, who he had known for quite some time shortly after she left for college. His name was Lucas, and he was studying to be a software engineer. He was nice and a respectful young man, and Jane and him hit it off right away. They dated for about 2 years, after which they decided to get married. She had her first kid at 21 years, and her and Luke raised the baby while still being in college. We often drove out to their college and looked after their son, William. It was over the weekend, so they could have some time off and blow off some steam. Jane soon finished college and started a job in the same company that she was interning in. Lucas got a job near her as well, and soon after, they had their second child, a daughter they named Kylie. For some time, we lived mostly separate lives, until recently when Keith and I decided to retire and buy a mansion near Jane and Lucas, so we could be near them. During this time, they've grown their family to a number of 5, welcoming their third child, a son, just after Jane turned 31. We loved being near the kids, and now freshly 60 years of age, it was the best decision we've ever made. We could live our lives comfortably, never wanting for anything, and we were planning on setting up a trust fund for our grandchildren just to help Jane and Lucas with sending them all to college, if they wish to go. Jane and Lucas are doing well for themselves, considering that they have 3 kids to take care of. But lately, I've been getting the feeling that she's a little resentful of our success, and that we've managed to achieve. It hurts me a little, since we invested so much time and energy into raising her to be always humble and grateful. But she is my little girl, and I always let it go when I feel such things. She's been stressed because of her job lately, so I did not think much of it. My grandson William was just about to turn 14, and Keith and I were wondering what to make this day extra special. Keith suggested that we build a large playroom inside the mansion for the kids, with slides and ball pits and everything. We had a lot of space out back, so we decided to build a large swimming pool in the backyard as well. We threw a pool party for the kids, and we spent weeks planning the perfect day for the kids and invested a lot of money in the project. A week before William's birthday, we called Jane and Lucas and told them to bring the kids over on the day of the birthday. They agreed, and we planned a large party with cakes and barbecue and bouncy castles. The day of the party came. The kids lit up with surprise and happiness when we showed them the new playroom that we built. They oohed and awed over the complicated slide and the climbing wall that we had installed for them. I looked at Jane for her reaction, expecting her to be happy. Well, it was quite the opposite. Jane looked almost mad. She was cowling while crossing her arms, clearly upset. I did not say anything in front of the children, acting like I haven't seen a thing. I took all the kids outside to the pool where we had set up the party. We had a great time splashing about in the pool and eating birthday cake. Afterward, William asked me if he could have another party here and invite all of his friends. I said yes, of course, whatever makes you happy. I was delighted that he loved spending time at our house, and explicitly. This seemed to make Jane even more angry. Afterward, as they were leaving, I drew Jane aside and asked her what was wrong. She made a face and turned away. I once again said that something was obviously troubling her, so why didn't she come out and say what it was? At this, she finally replied, saying that it must be nice to have so much money to spend on your grandchildren and buy them expensive gifts and renovate the house just for a party. She sounded really bitter, and I've never heard her sound like that. I asked her why she did not like that and did something for her kids, and that she could be happy to see them develop such a good relationship with their grandparents. She said she did not want to talk about this anymore, turned around and left. Later that day, I told Keith about what happened. He was very surprised, saying that he did not know why Jane would act that way. He said that he thought there were times that she seemed a little off and angry, but he just chalked it down to stress like I did. We decided that it would be best to call her the next day and talk to her about her behavior. Well, the next day, when we called her, she avoided the subject and said that she did not have anything rude or anything that we could have as an explanation. She also said that despite what William had said, they had decided to host a birthday party for his friends at their own house. After that, she said she was busy and would talk to us later. Determined not to give up, we start planning. Our anniversary was coming up soon, and we thought that we would like to invite Jane, Lucas, and the kids to have dinner with us, and then figure out what's going on. I had a feeling that Jane would kick up a fuss, so I called Lucas, inviting him and the family to our place. He politely accepted, expressing his best wishes and saying that he would make sure that Jane and him did not have any plans that day. The day of our anniversary, we had a nice quiet dinner, which I told the kids if they would like to go to the playroom afterwards and enjoy themselves. William answered for his siblings that they would love to go, saying that the youngest had loved the ball pit that we made. He then said something that shocked us all. "Grandma, I love your house. I want one just like this when I grow up. I'll build a playroom too, and everything just like you built. We love coming here to play since we don't have a lot of stuff at our house." Jane's face went from red and she slammed her fork. Keith sent her a warning look, telling her not to say anything in front of the kids. After dinner, I took her aside. Directly, I asked Jane to tell me what her problem was and why she had been acting this way for the past couple of months. I asked her what her problem was and why she seemed to get angry whenever we did something for the children. She finally exploded, saying that we've done this all her life, raising her up in a middle-class household while secretly getting rich. She said that they were greedy and mean to keep the money from her and that she should get the benefits of our money as well. She also said that we love to spend money on grandkids but not her, and that she wanted to switch houses for ages, but they simply could not afford to currently. I reminded her of how hard we had worked to provide a good, financial, stable life for her, and that she had grown up with everything that she desired. It might have not have been a very luxurious life, but it was far from what she's describing. She suddenly said that she knew what I could do. I could convince Keith to transfer ownership of the mansion we lived in into her, and she and her kids could come move in. She said that since we were so rich, we could easily afford another mansion and move into it. Shocked, I asked her how she could say that to her own parents to vacate her house and give it to her. She said that it made sense since we had built a playroom for the kids, and now they could use it whenever they wanted. I said she was being selfish and that was not how we raised her to be. She told me that I was the selfish one and my grandkids loved the house, so I would have to move out. I refused and she got mad, saying that I was just greedy and wanted to spend all the money by myself, instead of sharing it with her. She seemed to think that she was entitled to the money that we earned. After this, she said she was leaving and took the kids and Lucas out of the house quickly. In the months after the incident, Jane stopped bringing the kids around, even after repeated invites. 3 months after their last visit, I finally went to her house and confronted her. She said that she's decided to keep her kids away from their selfish grandparents, and that if we wanted to see her kids again, we would have to give her the mansion to live in. I pleaded with her, saying that we loved our grandkids more than anything, and that she was not right to do this. She just said it was her decision. After this, I asked her what Lucas thought of this. She replied that Lucas agreed with her that they should get the mansion, and he was fully on board with her decision. I went home crying and told Keith what happened. He was equally distressed by this turn of events. After a great deal of thinking, I said that we should consider giving her the home. After all, she was out of a daughter, and it would be a small price to pay for getting to see our dear grandchildren again. Keith was initially hesitant, saying that it would make Jane believe that we were easily blackmailed, and she would do this all again anytime in the future. However, ultimately, we decided that we would give up the house and move out. We called Jane and told her we were ready to transfer the house to her. She was ecstatic and told me that she would call her lawyer. She also said that she was glad we had made the decision and that I should understand why she asked me to do this. Saddened, I called the lawyer and told him to draw up the paperwork we would need. The paperwork was ready soon and I called Jane over. I asked her if Lucas would also be coming and she said no, she would come alone. My husband and I waited for her to show up. When she came, she read over the paperwork in great detail, and then she said she was ready to sign. Just then the doorbell rings. It was Lucas, who had seemingly shown up after all. He was angry, extremely angry, saying that he overheard Jane talking on the phone with me, and he figured out what was going on. He told Keith and I that he had no idea what Jane was doing behind his back. Then he turned to her and said that she was a selfish woman who had blackmailed her elderly parents for money. Jane turned red and looked guilty. She said that this did not concern Lucas and he should stay out of it, and that she was doing it for their family. Besides, she said, everything was rightfully hers anyway since she would get all of it anyways. Lucas said that he did not want anything from us and that neither did the children. He tore up the paperwork right there and told Jane that he was going to file divorce. He did not want to stay married to her anymore after seeing what she's done. He stormed off and Jane left too, looking ashamed. The next day, Lucas called us, saying he had another argument with Jane when she got home. She had said that it was her family matter and Lucas should stay out of it. In response, Lucas told William everything. He had not told the other kids yet since they were too young to understand. William had tried pleading with his mother, telling her not to be greedy, and he did not care about the mansion, just about his grandparents. Jane had refused to listen, and Lucas said that he had finally filed for divorce. William had felt terrible and said he did not want to live with his mother anymore. He had a talk with the other kids as well and told them Mommy and Daddy had to live apart for a while, and that William was going to live with Daddy. Hearing this, the other kids had said that they wanted to live with Daddy too. Jane tried to convince them to stay with her, but the kids doubled down. William said that he would testify in court that he wanted to live with Lucas, and he would make the other kids say that too. A month later, they got a divorce and Lucas got primary custody, mostly because of William's testimony. Jane eventually broke down, pleading with her family to forgive her and accept her back to their lives. Lucas and William said they would forgive her if she talked to us and asked for our forgiveness. Jane, selfish as she was, flew into a rage and said she would rather die than apologize to the people that had caused her to lose her family. Jane broke all contact with us soon after and never talked to us again. However, there was a silver lining to this whole drama. We regularly got to see our grandkids from then on, as Lucas never stopped them from visiting us again. Guys, imagine if Lucas did not walk through those doors at that exact moment, and the daughter gets away with this blackmail of her own parents, and she signs for that mansion. I could not believe how fast this story could have changed. Luckily for everybody, in the end, Lucas was the one who took the children based on William's statement. I'm so glad it was a happy ending because that woman was the Wicked Witch of the West. I hope you enjoyed the content. Show the channel a little bit of support and love. The best way to do that is simple. All you have to do is smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful night.